Studies show that 67% of Americans are planning on making some sort of financial resolution in the new year. If you clicked into this video, I'm betting that you are represented in this group of people who have specific financial goals that you are trying to meet in this new year. With the recent economic conditions that we've seen, these goals may be a little bit more difficult than they were in previous years. But today I'll be sharing 6 easy ways that we can set ourselves up in 2024 for long-term financial success. If you're new here, my name is Carly. I am a model represented in the New York market. I'm a product manager in tech, and on this channel, I talk about personal finance, modeling, and achieving my goal of living an easy life. My first financial habit is to automate your savings. Studies show that when you eliminate the decision to save or spend, you tend to save more overall than if you had to actively take the decision to do so. This follows the principle of paying yourself first. If you're paid through direct deposit, you can set up a percentage of your paycheck to automatically funnel into your savings account. The beauty of this is that it happens automatically. You don't have to take any time or energy to make these transfers manually. Once you set it up and you let it do its thing, you can see your funds grow over time, which is also very rewarding. In the realm of saving, you'll also want to establish an emergency fund with 3 to 6 months of expenses. If you don't have one, this is what you should prioritize building in 2024. 57% of Americans can't afford a $1,000 emergency. You never know when something might happen that you can't anticipate. This is basically insurance that if anything happens, if you lose your job or a health emergency occurs, or you need to pay some sum of money that is outside of your monthly expenses, you have already set up this fund to help cover those unforeseen circumstances. The alternative is potentially going into debt to cover these expenses. This is harder to dig yourself out of, and this will set you back financially because of the high interest rates that debt usually comes with. Your emergency fund should be held in a high-yield savings account. These accounts generally have a 4 to 5% interest rate. It fluctuates depending on how the government sets the interest rates. But in a high-yield savings account, your money is very easily accessible if you do need it, and it'll continue growing while you don't need it. It'll at least most likely grow at the rate of inflation, which also fluctuates. But at the very least, that means that your money will continue holding its value. The alternative is holding your money in a regular savings account, which those interest rates usually go at around 0.01%, something along those lines, which means that over time, your money is actually actively losing value because of inflation. The next habit is to plan for retirement. If you don't have a retirement account, I would highly recommend opening one today. You'll want to take advantage of the power of compound interest over the next few decades until you retire. There's a number of different retirement accounts out there, and I have a video that talks about the most common ones, which I'll link somewhere up there. One account you can take advantage of regardless of whether you're employed or not is the Roth IRA. In 2023, the limit for the Roth IRA contribution was $6,500. In 2024, it's getting raised to $7,000. The advantage of investing your money in a Roth IRA is that you contribute post-tax money. This is money that you've already paid taxes on, and when you contribute to your Roth IRA and then you invest into whatever stocks or funds that you want to invest in, any growth that you see in this account at age 59 and a half, you can extract this money completely tax-free. And that makes it a really powerful tool to ensuring that you retire in comfort. And to make it more tangible, I'll give a couple of comparisons. If you started maxing out your Roth IRA every single year at age 30, which means 30 years of contributions until age 59 and a half, if this money grows at 10% returns, which has been the average historical rate of returns for the S&P 500, by age 59 and a half, with all of the growth, you would have accumulated roughly $1.2 million. Now that's a decent amount of money, but if you had started maxing out your Roth IRA at age 25, so only 5 years earlier, with the same rate of return and with the same $7,000 per year contribution into your Roth IRA, by age 59 and a half, you would have amassed roughly $2 million. That's almost twice as much money, and only for starting your contributions 5 years earlier. The best part of the Roth IRA, again, is that you don't have to pay any taxes on the growth, which you would have otherwise had to do in a regular brokerage account. And the caveat is that you can only invest in the Roth IRA directly if you make under $161,000 in 2024. That's if you're single, and if you're married filing jointly, then your income has to be under $230,000. Still, if you make over these incomes, there's a completely legal way to contribute to a Roth IRA still, and that's through the backdoor Roth IRA. You basically first transfer your money to a traditional IRA, and then you roll it over to a Roth IRA. I would recommend doing some research into this because there are some tax implications if you don't do it correctly. The next habit you can easily do is to review your subscriptions. Your needs and interests might have changed over the last year, and it's no longer worth it to pay for what you don't need. You may as well, as we just learned, invest the money instead. Subscription fees are automatically deducted from your account on a monthly basis. This is often without requiring any active decision or confirmation from your part. Over time, these costs add up. Studies show that on average, people spend around $25 more per month on subscriptions that they don't need or they don't use. That's around $300 that we're leaving on the table annually for something that we don't even need. And potentially it's more than $300 if we invest it with compounding returns. So take the time to evaluate your subscriptions and make sure that the value that you're getting from them corresponds with the amount that you're paying for them. And if not, then it's time to cancel them. The next habit is understand what you are spending your money on. So it's kind of in line with reviewing your subscriptions. It's also time to know exactly how you are spending your paycheck. If you use a credit card, it's easiest to do this if you take a look at your credit card statement. If you regularly review your expenses, you get to keep a pulse on how you're spending your money over the last month. Seeing these charges and the associated numbers leaving your bank account is a good way to review whether these expenses were actual needs or if they were more on the wants side of things. Having this zoomed out view on a monthly basis can help you determine in which areas you don't need to be spending as much money in. The next habit is to stop falling for sales. One thing I adopted this year is being very intentional with how I spend my money. To me, the opportunity cost of buying something I later realized that I didn't want that much is far too large when I consider instead investing the money and the effects of compound interest over the long term. Whenever I wanted any material items, I would add it to my wish list and I would think about it for a few weeks. In those few weeks, I would do research into figuring out if that was actually the best item of that category out there. I would also think about exactly what gap that it would fill in my life. Basically, I do everything I can to avoid an impulse purchase. Now I've come to the practice where even if something is on sale and I maybe thought about buying it a week ago, if I haven't thought about it for that adequate amount of time to make sure that it's not going to be a wasteful purchase for me, then I will pass on the sale. The psychology of sales triggers urgency and scarcity. It triggers loss aversion and it taps into your emotions while also providing a false sense of reward. All of these tactics applied in that way have the ultimate goal of trying to make you spend more money. After I realized that 80% of the things I thought I wanted in the moment, after pondering it for a few weeks, I no longer wanted, that's when I started holding off on buying. We're starting a new year and you can make sure that you start off this year strong with the 6 financial habits that I mentioned. You'll automate your savings, you'll bulk up your emergency fund, you'll invest in retirement, you'll review your subscriptions, you'll understand exactly what you're spending your money on, and you'll think long and hard before you fall for a sale. I hope you like this video. And if you like this video, then I think you'll also like this video here on why it's so hard to save money in 2024, but how you can do it anyway.